What the creepiest things that's happened to you at work? I would always leave my work heels under my desk and change into my comfortable shoes when I left for the evening. I just left work and realized I'd left my purse on my desk, so I went back inside and found my boss under my desk sniffing my shoes I'd just taken off. I worked a day job, a night job, and I was in college, so my sleep schedule was really effed up for several months. One night, I was working alone. I did my work and had a few hours of downtime, so I tried taking a nap. I woke up to what sounded like someone inside the building screaming nonsensically and smashing things like some psycho broke in and was tearing up the room. I ran to where the sound was coming from, and by then it stopped. I didn't see anything weird inside the room. Everything was perfectly normal. I yelled, "What the F was that?" My own voice came out very slow and deep, like when you try talking through a yawn. "What's going on?" Same thing. I looked around the other rooms, and even outside, nothing was out of order. I'm confident it was a hallucination due to lack of sleep. After that, I took steps to sort my life out so I could sleep like normal again, and I haven't had any more experiences like that. I open and close my office, so I'm the first in and last out. Came in one morning, unlocked the front door, swiped my pass for the second set of doors, and the alarm didn't go off. Already deactivated. That's weird. All the lights were off, so the basement light shining under the door in the lobby was pretty obvious. That's weird too. We never leave it on. Heard some strange noises down there, so I had to go investigate. It's 3 flights to reach the basement. You can't see the top from the bottom. As soon as I stepped off the bottom step, I heard a noise and paused to listen. I realized the noise I heard was someone opening the door above me. Lights turned off. Door slammed shut. My mind was racing. Did someone break in? Was I just tricked? Turns out, our maintenance guy came in early for some burner maintenance. The weird sound I heard was the automatic reprime cycle. He put his tools away, then came back to turn off the light. I was a bank manager years ago. I was opening one morning, and when I went to open the front door, it was already unlocked and open. I asked the teller with me to get her phone out and to be ready to call 911. I opened the door and yelled hello. A little old man came out from around the corner with papers in his hand and said, "Can I make a deposit?" I told him we weren't open yet and asked him to step outside. We called police to ask them to come check the building with us. Turns out that our cleaners left the previous night without locking the door or setting the alarm. The branch was unlocked and free and clear for anyone to come in and wander around all night. I used to work as a tour guide for a ghost tour company. Basically, I walked people through the city, stopped at important landmarks, and told gruesome stories about what happened and the reported hauntings. Creepy things would happen, like guests seeing faces peering out of windows or them telling me they could see lights floating in windows. It was always the same window, and multiple guests from multiple tours over a 2-year period reported seeing them. Creepiest thing that happened to me while working was my last day. I was standing in front of the door to a house with plenty of ghost stories. This was also the house with the lights. At the end of my story, I thanked the guests and told them that this would be my final tour with the company. Everyone clapped and I started to make my way down the steps. As I started to walk, I heard a voice whisper behind me. Before I could turn around to look, I felt a pair of hands shove me from behind, and I went over tea kettle down the stairs. Luckily, one of the guests caught me as I was falling. Some of the guests assumed that me falling down the stairs and saying I felt pushed with no one behind me was part of the tour. Great job, great tips. Wild last tour. I had a tiny t-shirt shop in a mall when I was young. One day a girl came in at lunch and was at first like a normal customer. She was flirting on me way more than as usual. She hung on to my every word. She stayed most of the afternoon. She had just gotten a job at the army recruiters and they locked her out of the office at lunch with no way to get back in. I finally got rid of her for a few hours by sending her on an errand. When she came back, I had friends around and asked them to stick around because something was off. They all agreed that she gave off a weird vibe. The next day she came around. Same thing, and she told me that she was molested by her father and that she was given a job and an apartment as emergency to get her away from him. Thanks to my friends hanging around, I wanted to not be anywhere alone with this girl. I didn't see her again. A few days later a guy shows up in the morning asking about her. He says that he heard she was seen at my shop and that he just wants to marry her off to whoever she is with. He was creepy as F. The guy spent 13 hours outside my store watching like a hawk. I work at a thrift store, and the majority of our customers are senior citizens. I'm fairly used to customers asking what certain things in the store are used for. A few months back, this older woman, around her 70s or 80s, comes up to me holding a knife sharpener and asks me if I know what it's used for. I start explaining to her what it is and how to use it, but she interrupts me and says I know how to use it. I'm asking if you know how to use it. I'm a little confused at this point, but I nod and say that I know how to use a knife sharpener. She nods, closes her eyes, and says sharp knives are good. You're going to need one soon. And she walked off. To this day that encounter creeps the hell out of me. Night shift working at a small boutique hotel that had previously been a very shady truck stop style motel, AIDS hospice, and generally unseemly place. During the night shift the only people on staff were myself and the bartenders, who worked on the other side of the property. The front desk and lobby where I worked were carved out of a couple of rooms in the largest of the property's buildings. The back office area was a room that opened directly into the lobby, and then through a door in the back was a small room with a desk and bathroom in it. That night the front desk area, which always was cold, kept heating up with this hot, stuffy air. The AC unit was right outside the office door and I could hear it running. The temperature gauge in the room read in the low 70s, and when I checked the vents it felt like it was blowing cool, but every once in a while the hot air would pass through the room. I wasn't too bothered, since sacks act up all the time, and there was an old attic above the rooms that might trap heat, so I just brushed it off. But, as the night went on, I started to get really strong feelings of uneasiness. Going in and out of the smaller room with the bathroom I'd feel like someone was right behind me. I'd turn around and of course nothing would be there. By the end of my shift I felt completely unnerved. Between the blasts of heat and the feeling of being watched all night, I couldn't get out of the office fast enough. The next day, when I came in to work I asked my boss if anything weird ever happened in the lobby area. Without skipping a beat she said, "Oh, yay. There was a fire in here when this place was still a motel. The manager's room was the back room, and one night he was smoking in bed, fell asleep and the bed caught fire. He didn't get out, and ended up dying in the fire in the room. They merged the rooms into this office when they did the renovations to repair it, and that's how I learned the hotel was haunted." My much older, male coworker kept staring at me, and I tried ignoring him, but he came really close to me, so I asked him what's up. He asked me why. "Do you have on a pink mask? The plain ones are fine." So I laughed a little and said, "Oh, I have it, because I think it's pretty." Somehow that led to him telling me, "Sotto voce, you think you're so smart. Huh. Someday you'll fall from that high horse of yours, and I will enjoy watching you on the way down. It's no good being this stuck up." It chilled me to the bone. I have zero idea what he has against me, but I want to cry every time I have to talk to him. He keeps staring at me and coming uncomfortably close and saying vaguely threatening and sexual remarks. "Why don't you report him?" Because this happened in front of multiple people and they all laughed, and he has seniority and I only have the drive to last a while longer at this job. Was working alone in the middle of the night at a huge warehouse near a port on a foggy night when I see the outline of a man in the distance. Scared the shout at me. The man walked directly towards me as I was still on my forklift. He comes up to the loading dock and gives a toothless smile as he asked where the lot lizards were at. Pointed him down the road to the Love's truck stop, and he excitedly went on his way. Found a pic of me on the printer. The original picture included me and my spouse, but this version had him cropped out and was zoomed in a way where I can only think of it having a single purpose. What made it extra creepy is that I had removed that picture from my social media account years ago, and it didn't exist anywhere else online, so the person must have had it saved on their computer for quite a while. I found a note on my workstation that read, "You are incredibly beautiful. Nothing too bad, nothing threatening." I got into my coworker's car later to get a ride home and started talking to him about it. I laughed and made fun of the anonymous writer because I had always made it known that I was off the market to my now husband. My coworker wanted nothing to do with the conversation and had even become visibly upset. Turns out, not only was it him, but he had been in trouble for stalking a different female coworker. He would show up to wherever she was outside of work after he agreed to drive her home, and would drive by her house to see if she was home. This happened to me about 3 years ago when I was working in an advertising agency. I was working very late that night. It was probably close to 3 AM, and as far as I could tell, probably the only one there at the time. If you were to walk into my department, you would see what is essentially a long and wide hallway with tall wooden cupboard desks on the left and right. The left would have 4 desks where the directors/seniors would sit, while the right would have about 8 desks arranged to create a cubicle space for the juniors. This arrangement is repeated 4 times along the hallway, essentially creating 4 segments of space which belong to a different team/brand. This also naturally creates an aisle walkway right through the middle. I have an aisle seat on the 3rd section, so when I sit down I can't see directly in front of me cause it's the tall cupboard desk thing. But leaning to the side I can basically see the whole length of the hallway with a clear view of the desks in the 1st section. The 1st section belonged to a milk brand, so the top of their cupboards were stacked with many samples of milk cartons of different designs. So that night, as I was the only one there, only my section was lit with the ceiling fan on. I was typing emails and was already feeling uneasy with how dark the whole office is, and the fact that it's fucking 3 AM aka the witching hour, and it didn't help that my brain was reminding me of all the office horror stories my colleagues have shared over the years, like how this building was built over a damn graveyard. And suddenly I heard a clattering of items and I immediately peeked my head out, only to see down the hallway that nearly all the milk cartons at the 1st section have fallen. Looked up, ceiling fan was off. Mind you, there's no way the airflow from my section caused that cause the space between our sections is very big. So, if that wasn't a sign telling me to get out of the office now, then IDK what was. Slammed my laptop shut, shoved it into my bag, and went straight home. I used to work at a family entertainment center that included a laser tag facility, among an arcade and other family fun things. Long wall of text ahead. Sorry for so much, but I've had lots of experiences. Everyone always talked about the place being haunted, and I never believed it, because I don't typically believe in paranormal stuff until I started working in the laser tag facility. Now if you've ever played laser tag, you know it's black lights. So of course when the black and white lights are off, it's pitch black, like can't see your hand in front of your face, dark. Of course we don't play in the dark, but important to note, we worked alone at the laser tag section and we are responsible for explaining the rules in room 1, helping people get vested up in their gear in room 2, and then had to referee in the arena. So there are 3 different sections to this part of the facility, as well as a small office where I spent a lot of time. The office was inside room 2, just across from the door that led to the arena. Also, the arena had back doors that led to the back of the parking lot. These doors remained locked from the inside at all times, but in case of emergency could be used, important for a later incident. My first incident was my first night closing alone. One of the laser tag vests, which had been out of order all day and was 100% properly sitting on the rack, came flying up and over the rack into the floor, ripping the charger from it and causing the vest to kick on. That scared the hell out of me. Second incident was Halloween 2013. Working with a co-worker this night, because it was busy, I was in the office checking vest battery levels, while my co-worker was outside running the register. There were no games going on, so all the rooms were empty. I heard what sounded like someone running up the ramp towards the vesting room, where the office is also located, and I looked at the door to the arena, fully expecting it to burst open and someone to run through. The footsteps stop, and it goes silent. Then there's a loud bang. I jumped and screamed, and ran to get my co-worker. He opened the door, and we found a shoe in the floor that definitely was not there before. Also, we never found the other one, so that still bothers me when I think about it. Another incident was one night. 2 of our regulars were at the facility for their bowling league. Their kids wanted to play laser tag. I don't remember their exact ages, but at the time I'd say the girl was about 5 or 6, and the boy was probably 7 or 8. Just the 2 of them. They asked if I'd play too. I agreed, and we went into the arena to play. Midway through the game, the girl pops the corner, and I notice her vest is turned off, which can't happen unless it's done by the computer in the office. Then the music stops. So of course I flip and think the lights are going next. I was so sure someone was in the office who wasn't supposed to be. I ran out, threw the office door open and the computer had crashed. Never happened before. I call the kids in to reset the game, and the little girl says she's scared and doesn't want to play again. I told them okay, and that I would refund their parents. I was helping her get the laser tag vest off when she said, "Hey, I have a question." I asked what it was, and she said, "Who was the man in there playing with us?" There was no man in there. It was just me, 19 years old and female at the time, and the kids. I told her there wasn't anyone else in there, and she said yes there was. She could show me. She grabs my hand, walks me to the door and opens it, points up on the ramp, and says, "See, he's right there." I told her I didn't see anything, and she goes, "How can you not see him? His hair is glowing."